Okay, so in the previous class, we have seen how to find the closure, right? And we have also understood how to find the number of candidate keys, which itself is a NP complete problem, right? Now let's start with another topic, which is called the membership test, right? So as the name says, we need to identify whether the given set of functional dependencies is a member of other functional dependencies, right? Single functional dependencies, we need to check its membership test. So this term is also, if I say you more or less, came from your theory of computation, right? You have context-free grammars, right? So whether a language is a member of your grammar set or not, right? So you will study that in your next upcoming. So let's start about the membership test, right? So we need to test whether the given functional dependency is a member of functional dependency set or not, right? So this is a testing problem. We need to check how we can perform that, right? For example, as we have, I just told you, like we need to test the functional dependency. I'm saying that X determines Y is one functional dependency, right? So this FD is, let's say, a member. This is a member of FD set, other FD set. Let's say capital F is my functional dependency set, right? So if I say this is a member, if I am saying that this is a member, then in which case, that is if and only if X closure, understand, X closure determines Y in FD set F, right? So it means what, right? We need to find the X closure of the rest of the elements in this one, and we need to check whether the X closure can identify this Y or not, right? So this in X closure, we find the X closure. There can be many attributes, right? But there should be Y. We are not bothered about anything, but this, it should contain Y at least. Only then we can say that, yeah, this X determines Y is a member of this functional dependency, right? So for example, see, we have a relation A, B, C, D, E, for example, A, B, C, D, E, right? The functional dependencies are such that A, B determines C, B, C determines D, and your D determines E over here, right? So let's check whether A, B determines E. This new functional dependency is a member or not, right? So what we'll do, find the AB closure. Find the AB closure of this one, right? So the closure of AB is what? AB, from AB we can get C, from BC we can get D, and from D we can get E, right? Now the AB closure of this one, understand, the AB closure, basically we identify AB closure independently, means we have AB and E. So check whether this AB closure can identify this E or not. Yeah, it's there. So since E is present in the AB closure, right? So E is present in the AB closure, then it shows that it's a member. This is a member of this functional dependency set, right? In the same way, if I say you BC determines A, for example, check whether this functional dependency could be a member of this set or not, right? So identify BC closure first from this set, this one, this functional dependency set. So BC closure is what? For example, BC gives BC, that's fine. BC gives D and D gives E. But see here, A is not present. So it means what? This functional dependency cannot be a part of this one, function dependency set, since A is not present here. Right. So in this way, we identify whether a functional dependency is a member or not. So this is called your so-called membership test. Right. So I hope this is easy. You can understand. Right. But remember, keep this thing in mind. And generally, mistake you used to do. A lot of students used to do when we finding the AB, for example, checking this part. Right. So what most of the student does is, for calculate the AB closure, they understood this as a part of this, and in overall they find the AB closure. Right. So this means obviously it's a trivial thing. Definitely are including this part and 100% you will get this. But this is not the case. Right. So exclude this one for which you are checking. Right. And then identify the rest whether you can identify this right hand side part of this attribute or not. Right. Okay. This topic, very small topic, is over. Now see about equality of functional dependencies. There is another small topic. Equality of functional dependencies. Right, understand two functional dependencies set are equal. Right, we are talking about the set here, right? For example, f and g are two, I'm just writing, are two functional dependencies set and equal if and only if. We need to check two condition. The first one is, make sure f covers g. F covers g, it means what? In a mathematical term, I can write f superset g, or g is subset of f, right? It means what? Every functional dependency of G set is what? Member, is member of F, yes or no? Right, because means we know A subset B, it means what? Every element of A, for example, A is subset of B. Every element of A is contained in B. So means every functional dependency of G must be a member of functional dependency of set F, functional dependent set of F, right? The second scenario, G covers what? F, means G is superset of F or F is subset of G. Means every what? Functional dependency of F set is member of G, this way, right? So this is what makes us conclude that if the f is f covers g and g covers f, then definitely f and g are equivalent, or say the equal functional dependencies, right? So okay, let me give you a kind of visualization and for better understanding. For example, we have f, this is my functional dependency set, and I may be having a lot of functional dependencies over here, for example, right? There is another functional dependencies there. I might be having a lot of functional dependencies set over here, right? Now let's say x determine y is one of the functional dependency in this one, right? Now what f covers g and g cover f says over here, right? This complete functional dependency, whatever all the set are there, right? So every functional dependency of f must be present in what? G. Only then G will cover F. Yes or no? So this is what every functional dependency, every FD functional dependency of F must be in G. Right or no? In the same go, we cover every functional dependency of G. Right? It should be contained in the F. Right? So every functional dependency of G must be in F. Right, all these must be in F and all these must be in G. Only then we say F and G are equivalent, right? For example, here when I say X determines Y, then when I find X closer using this functional dependency, it should anyhow determine Y, and it can determine every other also not. If I say A determines B is contained in this G function dependency set, then when I find the A closure using this set of function dependency, it should anyhow determines B. There can be other as well, right? So if we have this scenario, then we can say F and G are equivalent, right? I hope you're understanding. We can have it's a kind of truth table for this as well, right? For better understanding. For example, if I say F cover Z is my one scenario and Z cover F is my one scenario, right? If I say this is true, it means what? Yeah, F is covering Z and Z is also covering F. That is true, right? Then definitely it means what? F and Z are equivalent, right? If I say this is true, F covers Z, that's fine, but this is false. Z is not covering the F. Then definitely it means what? G, there are some element of G, right? There are some element of F we have in which G cannot cover. right? So G is the small set which is contained in F, but F, no. There are a lot of other elements which are not a part of G, so not equivalent, right? So F is covering G here, we can see. But if I say this is false and this is true, then definitely G is covering F, but F is not covering G. G is covering F, right? So it means was something like this: G is covering F, but F is not covering G. But another scenario, maybe nothing is possible, then we say F and G are non-comparable, right? So we say these are non-comparable on this, right? So now let's check out, understand with the help of example how we understand this thing, right? I mean the coverage part over here, right? So understand with the help of example. I'm saying that okay, there is a functional dependency set F which gives A determines B, B determines C, and C determines A, for example. The other set of functional dependencies are A determines BC, right? And B determines AC, AB determines C, AB determines, for example, already we have included. So let's take something else. BC determines A. Let's see, leave this. Right. Now let's check out whether which of the following scenarios is true out of this one. This. Out of this, which of the things are true? Whether F covers Z or Z covers F, or F and Z are equivalent. We need to check this one. And we are given two set of functional dependencies in this way. Right. So understand what we have to do. Let's check it out. Right. First, we check out for the F part, whether every attribute of every function dependency of F can be retrieved using B functional dependency set. For example, in this one, for checking for the F part first, right? So find A closure in this one. In this A closure, can we say that A determines B? Definitely, because A determines B. This can be find out using this function dependency. A gives BC, so A determines BC. This is possible. It means what? This can be. This is a member of this also. It means what? Right. So check for this one. B determines C. Whether this B can be determined, C can be determined using B in this function dependency. So basically find the B closure in G. So B closure it was say B, and with B we can find AC, and hence we can find C. So this is also a member of this. Same for C, right? So finding the C closure using G set, but see now. C closure, when we find out, we are only able to find out C. We cannot find A. So it means what? This one, C gives A. C gives A is not contained in this. It's not a member of G here. Right? So we have understood. For now, let's say check whether this G part, now check for G, whether G is contained inside the F or not. So finding the A closure of here, A gives BC, checking for A gives BC, right? So find out the A closure here in this one, whether we can find BC or not. So see from that A closure, we have A gives B, that is B, B gives C, right? So see, we can find out this one. So it means what? This is also a member of F functional dependency set. B gives AC. Can we identify AC if we are given B using functional dependency set F? So find out the closure, that is B closure in this one, that is BC, and C gives A. So AC we can identify. Hence, this is also a member of F functional dependency. AB gives C. So if we are given A and B in this scenario of F, right, and we find the closure, can we identify the C? Yeah, obviously. With AB we have AB, and with VB we have C. So it means, yeah, this is also a member of this one. So for BC gives A, can we have given the BC, can we identify A? Yes, we can see one by looking C gives A. So that means it is also a part. So hence what it means, F covers G, means this one, all the element of G are contained in the F, but there are some functional dependency which are not in the G. Means what? G, this one. So all the Z element are inside F, but there are a few of F which are not in G. This is what this one. Hence, this is the scenario. Right? So any doubt, you can just let me know.
Sir, please show that truth table once more.
Yeah, it's there.
True. Okay, that was F cover G. Okay, okay, sir.
Right? So in this way we can easily check, right? So, and but definitely it may be lengthy, right? Because we need to check for everyone, right? So see, understand the basic mathematics. What basic mathematics says we are already familiar. If we want to prove something true, we need to consider every situation, every condition should be true. But if you want to make it false, then take out one example and then make it false. So in this scenario, we can apply for the same. If you want to check whether f covers G or not, then identify one functional dependencies, in the G, which actually not covering in the F, right? So the functional dependency which is not a member of other functional dependency, right? If we identify that one, definitely in this scenario, just instead of directly checking this one, we can say identifying the C gives A, checking first, and we found that C gives A is not a member of this, right? So G basically cannot cover all those functional dependencies of F, right? So this is the scenario we can make it understand. Fine. Okay. I hope you have no doubt in this one. Still, you can let me know if you have any doubt. Uh, what's the time? Okay. Now let's move on to the next topic, which is your canonical cover. That's important. See, whatever we have covered so far, they may directly will not be asked for those, but whatever we have done uh, so far will be used in this one topic, the canonical cover. We used to say this as a minimal cover also. Right. So understand what is this. See, actually canonical cover, we find the canonical cover of a given functional dependency set. Understand, right? What's the meaning of this? We find a minimal possible dependencies which are logically equal to the functional dependencies. For example, in this scenario, right, if I consider the previous question, we are given all those functional dependencies, right? So canonical cover is the minimal set of functional dependencies, right, which are logically true to the given original functional dependencies. It means what? We can eliminate any of the functional dependencies, redundant functional dependencies basically, which will not affect the logic of our functional dependencies. That's called your minimal or canonical cover, right? So how we'll identify that, right? Okay, so for example, let's make you understand. For example, I have the function dependency, something like this: A determines B, determines C, right? So for example, I have this functional dependency. From here, A determines B, that's fine. B determines C, that's fine. But see, A determines C is really we need this functional dependency, because if you are given A, can't we reach to this C functional dependency? We can. Transitive relation, we have seen the Armstrong axioms and the rules. A determines C, B determines C, then A determines C. Hence we can skip this one. It will not affect the logic, right? The logic says you should able to identify the C attribute starting from A. So we have that. Now AB determines C. It means what? For example, try to understand. When we are given both the values of A and B, can we identify the C? This thing is also already covered here. For example, if I am given the value of A, definitely I can find the value of B. At this point of time, I have both the values of A and B. And now A and B collectively, I can identify C. So we can skip that. Right. So in this way, we are left with: A gives B and B gives C. But this is not the method, or this is not the logic that we used to follow, right? We follow certain steps, the help of which we make a conclusion that we eliminate this functional dependency, not just by looking at the thing that we have done, but this is an idea, right? We what we actually used to do in canonical cover at the end, right? So how we will find the canonical cover, let's understand that. The procedure, right? What we are given, we are given a, let's say f is my functional set of functional dependencies, which is we are given in the procedure. Our first step is remove, understand, remove extraneous attributes over determinants. If you remember what's a determinant, if I say a determines b, a is my determinant, b is my dependent, right? So over the determinant, I'm just talking. That's what your left hand side part. This one we need to perform. Some operations over here. We need to eliminate some attributes over there. That's what the extraneous attributes, right? So what is the extraneous attribute? Understand now. Just all of you pay attention because this is important. For example, if I'm saying that some some functional dependencies are, let's say w x y determines z, right? And the other is w determines x. Let's say this is my functional dependency. It means what? See, if I'm given the value of w, I can tell the w of value of x. And here, what it's saying, if I am giving you a value of w, x, and y, you can tell me the value of z, right? But see, the thing is, already in this scenario, we are having this w and x over here, right? But again, you are giving the same value. So try to understand. Look at this part. We want to perform the extraneous attribute, remove extraneous attribute from this set. So understand, find out whether it's single or say, these attributes, only these attributes are forming any functional dependency or not. So this, the combination of these attributes is forming one functional dependency. In the scenario, when we have this situation, then which attribute we need to remove? Understand this part, which is being, which is dependent actually, right? With the value which are determining, just remove this part from here, right? So what we get, w y determines z, and now w determines x. Now this. See, logically, this thing is true. Why? Because whatever you are determining, you are already including that. That doesn't make any sense. If you are determining this using a different attribute, then why you are including over here? Right. So that's why we have removed from this one extraneous attribute, and we have written this one here. Now I can get the value of x from w. And now if I given the value of w and y, I can get the value of z. That's it. Right. So this is how we remove the extraneous attribute. This is the only method that we actually use to follow. Right. The very first step that we actually have to uh, perform before finding the canonical cover. Let's move on to the second one, and that is about removing redundant functional dependencies. Redundant functional dependencies. From what? From the step one. Now this one, whatever we have received here, we will remove this one, not the original one over here. Right. So what is the redundant functional dependencies now? How we identify the functional dependencies redundant? See, if I'm saying that X determines Y functional dependency of what? F functional dependency, for example, F we are taking this one, right, is redundant. When it will be redundant? If and only if I say X determines Y. See, understand properly. If I am saying that X determines Y must be the member, must be the member of what? F, you subtract this X difference, X determines Y set, and this functional dependency set. It means what? See, understand the logic. I am saying that the function dependency is redundant. It means what? Whether given set of function dependency, understand, in a given set of function dependency, if we remove this function dependency or we consider this function dependency, there is no effect over my original function dependency. Means either the presence or absence of this function dependency doesn't change the logic of our original function dependency, then definitely it's redundant, right? So that's why we generally use to remove such type of functional dependency. And how? The same way, x determine y must be a membership test. We will do the membership test by excluding this specific for which we want to check whether redundant or not. So all the functional dependencies other than this we have in this one, so check this membership test with this one, right? The scenario is something similar to this one here in the previous example. If I talk about, in the original functional dependency, I was having these attribute, these functional dependencies plus these also. This was the member of originally we are given this one. Now I want to check whether this is redundant or not. How? I will separate it. So I will separate it and I will keep this set. Now I will try to find out the closure. This is the logic that the basic process that we follow to membership. Right. Now we check out the AB closure in this set and we'll check whether this is the member or not. We are able to determine E or not. Right. Here we are given this one, and in this one scenario, we need to check for every function dependency. This is the only difference. Right. In this question, we were given explicitly to identify or say check the membership test over this one. Here we need to perform on every function dependencies. Right. Okay, let's understand with the help of some examples here. We'll be able to more clear. Okay, so first look at some extraneous attribute. For example, the function dependency set AB determines C and A determines B. We have this one, right? So how extraneous C? Look at this part. We have AB, right? So now C, A determines B. This is a part of this. So definitely this B is extraneous. So what we'll get? A determines C. But don't eliminate this function dependence because this is the actual we need to keep, because we are removing the attribute, right hand side attribute from this one, right? So A determines B. These are equivalent logically, right? More example, let's say A, B, C, D determines E. And let's say AC determines some F and F determines D.
Sir,
Say.
sir, in the first example, what will happen if we remove A from AB determines C? Because that won't change anything, I guess.
Yeah, in exceptionally the we'll see another example is there where you will understand which if we remove any of these one, does it really affect or not, right? So in the in a few scenarios we'll be having the situation where we will not be able to eliminate both the condition, because here you will eliminate A as well as if you logically see, if you try to eliminate sorry, B, if you try to eliminate A as well, what you will get? B gives C and A gives,
A gives B.
right? So
So
this is
similar.
what actually you are giving. So A gives B and B gives C, right? So this is what the function dependency, and you can think of what logically whether it's true or not, right? So when we have the more than one scenarios, then what which one actually we need to take? Can we take both, or we what we can do? That we'll see in the next one or two examples,
Okay,
right?
sir.
So see, there can be obviously many ways, right? But definitely a certain fixed step it should be there, so that that can be applied to every scenarios. And this is what removing the extraneous, and that's why we have removed B from here, right? So you will find out that in most of the scenarios we will not be able to remove this A part, and in most we can easily remove. For example, in this small example, right? So that's why we need to stick to the extraneous attribute elimination that we approach that we are following, removing the right hand side part. Okay, so looking at this example over here, right? So see, AC determines F. So no, it's not there. And let's look at this one. AC determines F and F determines D. right? So with this one, can we conclude AC determines D, transitive, right? But when we write AC determines D, AC and D are present over here, right? So what we can do, D1. And what we left now, A, B, C determines E, fine, AC determines F, and F determines D. So logically, this is also correct. See, this
And
part
sir,
was not
sorry.
given, right? We understood that using transitive rule, right? For AC, F and F to D, we can retrieve AC, we can get the value of D from AC. We have understood that, right? So if we get the value of D from AC, then we can eliminate this part from here. Yes, same.
Sir,
Mhm.
sir, will there be a problem if we write ABC gives E and AC gives D
Yeah,
instead of AC gives F
there
and
will
F?
be a problem. I will tell you there will be a problem,
Okay.
right? Yeah. So for this question, this is what we can have one one logical solution for eliminating the redundancies, right? Okay, let me give another example. More A B can take CD for example and determines E. A determines C. BD determines F. F determines A. Now see. From here, first see A determines C. So we can check out here and we can see that C should not be there. Now from BD determines F and F determines A. We can get the value of A from B and D. So B and D are here. We can get the value of A. So this time. But we are left with BD determines E. This one. A determines C. BD determines F and F determines A. This one. Right? So understand now this example. I mean, if you have doubt, ABC determines D, AB determines C, and BC determines A, for example. See, BC determines A, so we can eliminate this A. But also at the same point of time, AB determines C. Can we eliminate this C both? Right? So understand, if I'm saying that if C is deleted, for example, this one, then what functional dependency set we have? If C is deleted, AB gives D, AB gives C also, and BC gives A. Yeah, yes or no? We can combine this one, AB gives CD, that's no worries, and BC gives A. But if we delete this A part, if A is deleted, then what you are getting? A is deleted, then BC gives D, AB gives C, and the rest as it is. The reason is basically when we are deleting a single of the attribute, logically we are keeping, we are retaining the, the functional dependencies the same as the original. But if you delete both A and C, right? So what will happen? B gives D. This is the one. B gives D. Will left with AB gives C and BC gives A. This is what we are, we are having over here. Right. So what do you think? Is this the correct one? Or what's the wrong in this one? You can delete both. Just think of you have covered. We are actually losing the functional dependencies over here. When I say this one, it says that A, B, C collectively in together can determine B, D. Right. And it says that A and B together determines C, B and C together determines A. Understand now the question that you are asking. See, why this thing is wrong over here. See, the split rule, the decomposition rules always violates this scenario. What I mean to say with this one is, for example, if I say AB determines C, If I am saying this AB determines C, I cannot say that A determines C and B determines C. I cannot say that. This is wrong. But if I say A determines BC, I can say that A can determine B as well as A can determine C. This is correct. The reason behind, just try to understand in the perspective of database. For example, here I have A, B, and C values, right? For example, now it's what it says, when I am given the both value of A and B, I can identify C uniquely, right? Now understand, if I have some value over here and I have some value over here, fine, right? For example, let me take some values. For example, if I have some 5 and this some 7 value, 5 and 7, if I'm given the 5 and 7, I can say, yeah, this is 9 value, right? If I'm given 6, A is 6 but B is nothing, still I can identify the value of C. A and B collectively is identifying the value of C. If I'm having the value of A as a 6 and B is nothing, then still I can identify 6 with 8. If I given the 6 value, I can identify this 8 value according to this. In the same way, if this is blank and this is saying this is 9, I can still identify the value of C. But understand, if a scenario occur where both of them are blank, right? We don't know. If I'm choosing this functional dependency without having the database data set value, right? And if I say that these things are true, and in the actual database I found that A and B both can be null values, then how I will identify this C value? Due to this scenario, this reason, we cannot split A and B both. At any point of time, there should be the value A and B if we want to split, but that's we are not sure. If we have both A and B as a null value, then we will not be able to identify. That's okay. But if I split this part, right? If I split this part and I found that these scenarios occur, what you will do then? It will fail here, right? If I say A determines C and B determines C, and if this scenario occur and I found that B is null value over here, then this dependency will not work. And in the same scenario, this dependency will not work. So due to this reason, you cannot split the value attribute over the left hand side part, right? So basically we can consider that if both of them we are saying that is a key, make sure this is a key. If this part is given as a key, then this scenario we can avoid. That's completely true, right? But we cannot avoid this one. If we avoid, then definitely we should say that it's not null, and not null can be applied on a single attribute, right? Not a collection combination of set. We can say that practically, but as a part of this, now we are given only functional dependency set. On the left hand side part, we cannot split them, but on the right hand side part, we can do that. There is no issue. So that's why if we are doing over here and we are eliminating both, we are left with B determines D only. And we are saying that only B can determine D. In case if B is null, definitely it will fail the logical way of here. So at single point of time, either you can eliminate C or you can eliminate A, and this both are correct over here. Okay. I hope you can. There are a lot of examples, but yeah, this is all. Now let's understand one question and how to find the minimal cover and canonical cover. All right, let's do one complete question. I'm writing some functional dependencies over here. BC gives A, D, E, F. Okay. So let's say you are given a set of function dependencies, right? And you need to find the minimal cover, say the canonical cover of this one, right? So see now how we are solving. Do one thing in the very beginning of every question, right? So do one thing, you apply the split rule of your Armstrong axiom that we did, right? Perform the split rule. It means what? Um, over functional dependencies wherever possible, not everywhere. For example, not in this part, not in this. So if we perform the split operation, what we get? A gives B, A gives C, and so on. It will help to solve the question. This is now BC gives A, perform over this part also, right? And we have B determines F, D determines E as it is. F. Right? So we have done. Now what we do? Perform the first procedure. That's the very basic procedure. What? Remove the extraneous element, extraneous attribute. Right? So how will remove the extraneous attribute? Yes, Abhishek, any doubt? Right? So to perform the extraneous attribute removal, what we'll do? We'll look at this part, right? So for that, obviously, we need to see the left-hand side part of every functional dependency, right? See, B, C, we have multiple. So we'll check out those first. For example, let's check the larger one having more attribute, right? So see, A, B, D, A, B. It means what? It should come to your mind. We can eliminate the B part. That's it, right? A and D. So A and D is present over here. So anyhow, we can eliminate this also. But see what we are left, A and F, and AF is already there. So this is what? Redundant. So we can eliminate this. It means what? The complete FD, this is what here can be removed. Right? Why? Because every value we are getting from any one of other value set. Right? You can have a question in mind over here. Right now, the previous example that we have covered. Right? The scenario might be true, but this is why we have done here, because this complete function dependency is being eliminated. If at the end we are not having A determines F, then definitely we need to think of whether we can eliminate previously function dependencies or not. But in most of the scenarios, you will find such type of situation where you will be able to eliminate all the complete function dependencies kind of situations, right? But let's see on this part now. We have the multiple values for B and C also, right? So B, C, F, right? So can you just tell me whether we can eliminate or not? I think no. For extraneous attribute, we are done, right? So extraneous attribute eliminate with this one. But to identify the second, that's what? To remove what? Redundancy, redundant attribute, functional dependency basically. Perform that. How? So okay, understand now how I'm doing. Let's check whether this is a redundant function dependency or not. So how we will do? Just don't think at this one. Let's say this is not present, right? And with that A closure, we it should be able to identify B, right? So just cover this one and find the A closure. Whether with A closure we can identify B or not. With A closure we can identify C, D, E, and F. Right. So with A closure, we cannot identify so far B. When we'll check these values, we cannot even start, because for every one we have, we should have B value. That's not present with us. In this one, even not. With this one, we can get the value E but not B. It means what? This A determines B. Right. No other functional dependency set closure can identify B value. So it should be retained over here. It should be in the member over here, right? The same for A determines C. So hide this one, right? Don't think that this is present, this is not over here, right? And we find the closure, A closure, and we check whether we can get C or not with this one, right? So can we get From A we get B, and we can get D in D, E, F, and so on. But we cannot start any of these because we anyhow need C, and here we cannot get C. So definitely its presence is required over here. This is not redundant. Now check at A determines D, right? So checking A determines D. From A we can get B, C, right? And from A we can get E and F, right? From B, C can we get D? Yeah, we can get D. So A closer here, we can get A closer D if we are removing this one. If we remove this, there will be no effect on the functional dependencies, right? Checking for E, A determines E. So if I hide this one, I can get the value of E from BC, and from A I can get BC. So A determines BC and BC determines E. So I can simply eliminate this. Same for A determines F, right? If I hide this one, I can get F from BC and I can get BC from A. Hence, this is redundant, right? So very faster and quick way you can solve this. For example, for this one, we see we need to check for every attribute. BC gives A. If I hide this one, BC gives A, right? And if I try to find out BC closer gives A or not, BC gives okay BC, but BC gives D. BC can give E. BC can give F, but we cannot get A from BC. This is what the actually only function dependencies that gives us A from BC. So this is important. From BC gives D, right? So BC can give everything, but I think you cannot get D from anywhere, right? See, understand, once you have eliminated this one, don't consider them as a part of closure. This is also necessary. But BC gives E, you can, I think, get this, right? Why? Because E you can get from D, right? E you can get from D, and D can you get from BC. So in this way, this is redundant. And even this also, you can get F from B, right? And B you can get from A. So this is redundant. But F you can get only from B, right? Because F we have eliminated this. So this is important. And E you can only get from D because E you have already eliminated. So that's why this is. So what we are left with now, A gives B, A gives C, this one, all are eliminated. BC gives A, BC gives D, eliminated. B gives F and D gives E. This is what the minimal set of functional dependency, which is logically true. Right now, you can even decompose this one. That is what A gives you. I mean, you can join them. A gives BC, BC, and A gives. Yeah, this is what. Right. Anything we are missing? I think no. A gives BC. That's fine. BC gives what? A and D. B gives F and D gives E. Right. So in this way, we can identify the minimal set of functional dependencies over here. That's the minimal cover, right? So in this way, we used to calculate a set of functional dependencies, which is a minimal one, right? So definitely, see, you need to take care of two things only, right? Keep these things in mind, right? These two, extraneous attribute and remove redundant functional dependencies. Right, in the very beginning, start splitting, right? Wherever it's possible, not everyone, right? And then perform these two. That's it, just logically, right? So definitely this requires a lot of practice. You need to solve. I'm going to be giving you questions for this practice, and you can get any question from your book or internet. So there are a lot of things, but definitely make sure you have a good practice in this one, right? So just let me know if you have any issue, you want to ask any doubt over this one, and probably you can say.
Sir, can you give another question just for the practice?
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. I'm giving you not one, a lot of other questions that you can make practice, a good practice, right? I will
Yes,
be giving you.
yes, sir. Please give it.
Yeah. So before that, okay, let me just stop recording for today.